Hands up if you have ever had a really crappy onboarding experience at a new company. Most managers severely underestimate how important the first 90 days is for making sure that our new employee is set up for success. I have personally had so many bad onboarding experiences, and they usually come from the fact that they're just non-existent. The training isn't there, the support isn't there, and you are left to figure everything out on your own. Most managers think that onboarding is just about handing over a laptop, having a couple of meetings, and throwing the team in at the deep end. But that is how you end up with confused, disengaged, and underperforming employees. And then we wonder why 6 months down the line, people aren't performing well, and we never set them up for success in the first place. But I've got a 90-day onboarding structure that you can take away and use today to level up and systemize the way you onboard your next employee or across your entire team. Before I get into that, I want to just outline some of the biggest mistakes that managers make, and if you are making any of these, don't worry, we can fix them. Firstly is just having no structure whatsoever, letting people figure it out as they go. Something I really remember from some of my worst onboarding experiences was like, if I would come in on day 1, day 2, day 3, I would be maybe given a task to do, and then as soon as I'd finished that task, I would have to go and ask someone, what do I need to do next? And I would either hold myself back from asking them because I felt like I was annoying them, or I would ask them and someone would have to drop what they were doing to come and help me. It makes the whole experience feel really sticky and awkward. We need a structure so that our new team, if ever they finish a task, they can move straight on to the next one. They know where to go. They've got a structured place. Next is information overload. So dumping everything on them in the first week and expecting it all to stick. What I'm about to show you gives you a really practical way of making sure that over the 90 days, they are introduced to things in the right cadence, and they have time to practice, learn, and develop their skills in each one, and then move on to the next. And the final mistake is just having no clear success milestones. So you want to make sure that your team member knows exactly what success looks like at the end of that 90 days, so they can strive towards it for the onboarding. And when you get to the end of that, you can measure it really clearly together. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the full 90-day onboarding document, give you some clear, important points as to exactly how to set this team up for success as best possible. And if your company doesn't have this structure, you can be the best manager in the world by bringing it in. So let's dive in. So this 90-day plan, you can set it up on any piece of software. You can literally copy and paste the information into each one. I've done this on Notion, I've done it on Asana, and I'm showing it you now in a spreadsheet just because that's the most universal way I can give you this information. So the first thing we need is just a small sheet giving them a welcome and an explanation of exactly what this onboarding plan is going to give them. We show them here that over the next 90 days, we're giving you all the training and support. The spreadsheet will be your go-to for training, and over the next 90 days, you're going to tick off each step. You would put their line manager in, and you would put the HR contact in as well. So I'm going to jump us straight into the spreadsheet because afterwards, a lot of this stuff will make a lot more sense. Now, there's a really key part. Now, down here, this is a really key part of the spreadsheet and what we're about to do. Because something we need to be aware of in onboarding is that we don't want a team member who becomes completely reliable on us as a manager to be delivering them work. We want them to feel ownership, accountability over their own tasks. And that's exactly what this spreadsheet is designed to do. And so this bit here is really important that they know it's on them to make sure that this board is complete, along with the 30, 60, and 90-day presentations that we're going to get into, and that at any point, if they feel as though anything is getting left behind, they can easily reach out to their manager to get support, and it's on them, really handing that accountability over to them. Okay, now let's jump in. At first, this might look a little bit overwhelming, but as soon as we've talked through this, it's going to seem really simple. So the very first one is just simply their first day. So in this column, we've got their first day. Then we go to the first week, first 30 days, first 60 days, first 90 days. And let me show you exactly what kind of things we would expect to be in there. So firstly, if they have any new starter paperwork, maybe it's visas, contracts, they need to complete that on the first day. You would put information in here, explaining exactly what it is that they need to do. And it can mean they get some really quick tick wins. So they can start to feel progress with these spreadsheets straight away. Next is we've just got a link back to the welcome. So it's making sure and holding them accountable to reading every bit of information that is on that welcome page. Next, understanding our core values. I cannot stress enough the importance of this. You need to make sure that your team are all bought into your company core values. And usually we would just link out a sheet here with the core values on, and we would do some training with the manager on day one, because this is one of the most important things. On day one, to show that they really understand the company core values and what is expected from them behaviorally. Same with the vision of the company. So you want to make sure that as a manager, you really help to set the bigger vision. So for example, in Fresh Leadership World, our vision and our mission is to build a world where everyone loves the work that they do. Now, when I get a new team member in on the first day, I will schedule a 90-minute session with them to go through our vision, show them how we're achieving it, how we're expecting to get there this year, all the things we've done over the last year, and then move into the values and the behavioral expectations of the company. It just helps to really zoom out, set that bigger picture, get them inspired, get them excited on day one, instead of jumping into the boring things like emails. And next is just a really easy quick tick task, is making sure that their laptop is set up. Of course, they need the tools to do their job properly. Something else you could add here, and this will obviously just depend on the size of the team, and all this is editable by the way, guys, is to meet the team. Again, depends on if you're remote, if whatever the size of your team is, but I would suggest if you're in a bigger company, make sure that that person on day one has some buddies across the team who aren't just directly their peers, maybe in different departments, different seniority, so they have someone to go to, they have allies from day one. Then we move into the first week. Now you'll notice that vision is here a second time. I cannot stress enough how important it is that your team feel connected to your company's vision. We do not get out of bed in the morning to tick off tasks. We need a plan, we need a purpose. As Simon Sinek famously said, start with why. As a manager, we need to constantly be connecting our team's work to the bigger vision of the business. So make sure you have that vision meeting in. You're then going to run through all the software in this first week, whatever they need to do their job properly. Make sure they have a training session booked in with you to train you on each one. And when they book those sessions in, they can go through and say whether they've completed them or not. The reason, again, that this is important, if we just go back to the welcome section of this spreadsheet, they are responsible for booking in these sessions. So whoever they need to speak to get the training on these softwares, they will do it and it'll help them feel accountable from day one. Health and safety, whatever you need there, make sure that's booked in. Orientation of the office, again, whatever you need there. Training on the HR tool, that's the most important one. And then company sickness and absence policy. All this stuff, guys, is completely editable depending on what you have in your business, what requirements you have. Then let's move into the role training. So across the first 30, 60, and 90 days, how we're going to make sure this person is set up for success in their role. Everything we've done so far and prioritized in the first week, the first few days, is making sure that they feel part of the company, part of the vision, part of the values. They go home every day energized and excited to be working here. When we know they've got all those tools, the next thing we have to do is move them into their role and making sure they're set up properly to do the actual job. So here's where we have lots of task training. So if this is a client-facing role, it could be has done one call with a client. It could be has sent a report to a different department. Whatever their role requires, make sure that you have trainings in here. So let me give you an example, trained in finance report. And then it may be that in day 60, delivered one finance report with approval. And then it could be in day 90, delivered one finance report without approval. So you can see that journey of how they are progressing, getting trained in that report, and they are going to book the session with manager or whoever they need to book it in with. And once they've got the training, it's going to be complete because they know in day 60, I would even argue you could put this on day 30, they're going to have actually done that finance report. And then in day 90, they're going to be at the place where they can deliver them without needing approval. And it could be that they do 3 and then they can do 2 without approval here. Whatever that cadence looks like and needs to be. The last thing I need to make you aware of is at the end of every 30, 60 and 90 days, your team member needs to come to you with a presentation of everything they have done in those 30, 60 and 90 days, telling you what they are absolutely smashing, give them an opportunity to get proud, get excited about their work, but also where they need more support. So the first 30-day presentation might be, I have learned all about the vision and the values of the company. Here's my favorite. But here is where I need to learn more. Here is where I need more of your help. These presentations really get the team member feeling accountable to learning. And something else I would always encourage to put in here as well is these learning sections. So learn how we operate. Instead of always just having tasks, make sure they have books to read that help them level up. Maybe you have a certain book that as a manager or as a business owner has had a huge impact on you, and you want people to feel and think the same way. So get them to read that book too. In work time, of course, it's all part of their development. Don't be afraid to add those learning things in. And then the last thing I'm going to bring your attention to over here is in this first 90 days, you want to make sure that after 90 days, they have a really accurate roles and responsibilities doc written up, and they are responsible for it. They can write it up. You don't need to micromanage it out of them. But on that roles and responsibilities doc, it's going to say, these are what my success measures are. This is what my priorities are. And here is what I'm responsible for. And let them write it up up, and then you can review that with them. And then we move into the quarterly one-on-one cadence where we're going to help review that roles and responsibilities doc with them to make sure they're feeling really comfortable and everything is running smoothly. If you want to make a copy of this spreadsheet, it's completely free. You can have an editable version. Just go to the link in the description of this YouTube video. How do you make sure that your team members get an incredible onboarding experience? Drop a comment and let us know. And make sure you subscribe, guys, because we do deep dives on everything it takes to be a manager every single week. So don't miss them.